So the amount of money that you have is not connected to how much worth you have. And this is so important. This is so important. Over the years that I've been working with people, beginning working with people who've gone through emotionally traumatic and abusive relationships, because that was my past. That was what I got to go through. That was a gift I got to experience and receive, extract the lessons, the power, the learning, the guidance, and the wisdom from. There was a really long time. And this showed up in my business in the early days and the early stages that I connected and attached a number to my worth. And a lot of us do this, whether we're in business for ourselves or not, whether we are working towards something that we hope generates a particular or certain amount of income. We experience this. We attach a number to our worth. And this is even perpetuated in society. When you go to a doctor and they're like, rate this on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest and the worst, and 1 being low, insignificant, really meaningless. And we're often taught and programmed to rate ourselves based on a number. And I think this has a lot to do, from what I've personally experienced and what my clients have gone through as we've worked through this, with this paradigm or this story that they're ready to completely shift and transform and break out of this matrix of, is rating ourselves based on a particular number so that someone else can understand, assigning it an arbitrary number so that we can feel a certain emotion or feeling or connect or attach to a certain story. And a lot of people do this when it comes to money. And this is important because I remember energetically when I was in past emotionally abusive and unavailable relationships, it was no wonder or no coincidence, if we call it synchronicity, coincidences, fate, whatever you want to call it, that when I was in those types of relationships, if I were to rate the trust that I had in myself, the confidence I had in myself, the belief that I had in myself, the income that I was making, the impact that I was making, it would all be, is there a negative option? It would be less than what 0 would have been, whatever that was. And looking back in hindsight now, having the value, the wisdom, and the lessons that I've learned and extracted from that, I look back at that, and that was definitely mirrored, matched, and reflected in the income that I was receiving. It was close to insignificant. It was close to not even making a dent in the lifestyle that I was living. So there was a dependency on someone else to make more because I perceived their value as having more value than I perceived me as having in my life in all of those areas, and worth and trust and confidence and looks and skills and talents and gifts and abilities. I was constantly down here and they were up here, and the income and the influence and the impact that I was making was down here compared to their up here. And a lot of times we get into this mental paradigm that even when we're out of an emotionally toxic, unavailable, and abusive relationship, and we desire to be free, we use words like that. Oh, now I'm free from that. But the intellect, the mindset, the unconscious programming is still in alignment with that. And we try and go do something on our own, and we try and make it as if there's a destination or a point you've made it to, you're done. Like we're not done until we're dead. If we have a pulse, we have a purpose. But a lot of us feel like when I get here, then I'll be there. And we equate and we contribute this number numerical value to our value. And we oftentimes look at our bank account, and we have this perception of whatever it is, that whatever's in my bank account or whatever it is that I make monthly, annually at this job has something to do with my worth. The higher that number is, the higher I believe that my self-worth will be. And that is so far from the truth. It is so far from the truth. Looking back now, I can see that the income I had matched the energetics of the emotional relationship that I was in within myself and with that someone else. And no wonder it was so low, because my self-worth was so low. And over the years of working through this and with people in their own experience of this, those numbers skyrocket. They jack up, right? It's good to get jacked up. Let's get jacked up. They jack up, they increase, and your self-worth increases. As your self-worth increases, those numbers increase. And even if they don't, your self-worth number and value, it remains high, and you remain unaffected by this. You remain motivated. You remain in this energy of, I have a purpose. And regardless of what numbers on the scale look like, my self-worth value and number remains, and it remains high. It remains consistent. It's not doing this ebb and flow type of thing, but a lot of people think that when they look at their investments or their bank accounts or what they're making or what they're calling in. And I see this in people in business as well when I work with them, and they're like, well, if I'm not making this in my business, then that must mean this about me. And so it becomes this identity thing. And a lot of this is an identity thing. It's identity work. It's not the external things that we're really seeing or really caring about. It's the internal stuff that we care about. And it's as if our self-worth fluctuates and differentiates based on what we're seeing externally, based on an external arbitrary number or scale. This happens with people when they're working through changing and altering their physical weight as well. There's some kind of weird paradigm that the number on the scale defines me, and it has to be in a particular range or at a certain number in order for me to feel good about myself. This shows up a lot in the physical manifestation of the internal expression of self-worth. And I've worked with a lot of people over the years who come to me and say, Sarah, you know what? I just really want to lose weight. Well, first of all, stop calling it loss, because your mind connects with pain when it hears the word loss, and it goes, no, 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 no. You've already lost enough. You have already lost enough. Come here, my friend. Come here, my love. Let me just cuddle you, snuggle you, and protect you. And that's what excess physical manifestation and presentation of weight does. It's designed to protect you where you feel emotionally unprotected. It's all relative. It all becomes part of this identity story that we have. So we've got to disconnect from this number out here having anything to do with this number in here, and increase the in here. Plug up the leaky energy holes, plug up where things are leaking, where you're unaware of, where you just feel heavy. You feel like no matter how much you put in, you're not getting as much out, because a lot of people connect their value with a number, but really it's an internal reflection. It's an internal game, and it's an identity game. So it cannot be connected to how much value you have and you bring. Some of my lowest moments have been some of my most empowering moments. And I talk about this in other videos, on my podcast, on my book. It was one of those things where I had the beautiful gift and opportunity to have the spiritual experience where at my lowest, I experienced my highest. I experienced this just abundance of love. And it came from above, it came from outside of me, but that's because it was so low within me, and everything outside of me was complete chaos, was complete shambles. And that was this pivotal moment and this critical moment in get yourself up and do this work. Get yourself up and believe in yourself. And this moment of go. I'm going to. I don't know how I'm going to. I don't know how long it's going to take to, but I'm in. I'm all in. I'm fully willing. Whatever is required, just show me, present it to me. Just go. I will go where you send me. And this, okay, I am willing, and letting go of how long, disconnecting, detaching from the outcome, how long it was going to take, and being an energetic, emotional, all in, whatever it takes. And that for me was key, because I realized, especially working with clients over the years, that no one can do this work for you. And a lot of times when we're sitting in the energy of expectancy, we're expecting other people to change. And we're saying that we are cool with remaining where we are. But the truth is, in order for you to work, you need to work. And in order to work, you have to really deeply believe that your value is not connected to an external number or a representation of anything externally. It's all intrinsically, it's all internally, it all has to be and gets to be the value of your identity, regardless of what it looks like externally. There's been months in my business where I've made negative money. There's been months in my business where I've made $20,000. And I realize now that all of those months are in the past. None of that at all has anything to do with who I am, with the worth and the value that I bring, with my purpose, with my passion, with my drive, and with my why. So when you do the internal work, everything externally gets to reflect and be a match and a mirror of what's represented internally. And this work is so powerful. It truly is called transformational healing for a reason. And when you do it, the numbers externally just get to be what they are. And they get to just be there without them meaning anything about what's in here. So this is why I'm so on fire and so passionate about what I do and walking people through this themselves, because it truly transforms absolutely everything. And when you're ready for that, I would love to connect. You can find out more at sarahpacaro.com. Love you guys. Bye for now.